My girlfriend looked at me with those soft, brown eyes and said, "He's not a threat, okay?" I felt the weight of her words land on me like a ton of bricks. My hands were trembling, and I had to remind myself to breathe. I had just found the love poem she'd written for him, not me, and the air in the room felt like it was suffocating me. I wasn't ready for what came next. She reached for my hand, trying to comfort me, but I couldn't pull my eyes away from the words on the paper. I didn't care how much she tried to reassure me. That poem was evidence, proof of something I didn't want to face. "Look," she continued, her voice almost pleading. "It's just a silly thing. It's not that serious. I'm just, I don't know, trying to work through some stuff." Trying to work through some stuff? I stared at her, numb, and the words hit me again. He's not a threat. But then why had she written that? Why had she filled page after page with affectionate words and imagery meant for someone else? For him? She could see the confusion on my face and quickly added, "It's not what you think. You're the one I want." I swear. But I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that hit me like a wave. My stomach turned, and I felt like I was sinking into the ground beneath me. She stood there, looking at me, waiting for me to say something. But all I could do was hold that damn piece of paper in my hands, staring at the words she had written for someone else. "I don't get it," I finally said, my voice unsteady. "How could you write a poem like that for him and tell me he's not a threat? Why did you hide it from me? Why are you even still in contact with him if he's not a threat?" Her expression faltered, and for a moment, she didn't speak. She looked away, and I saw the tension in her shoulders. She was trying to find the right words, but the silence was louder than anything she could have said. "I don't want to hurt you," she said, and the way she said it, like she was convincing herself more than me, made me want to scream. "It's just, he's a friend, okay? But I get it if you're upset. I do. But I wasn't just upset. I was crushed, and I wasn't sure if she even understood that. The truth was, I had noticed the subtle changes over the past few months. The late-night texts, the way she'd look at her phone and smile in a way that didn't feel like our smile anymore. When we'd be out at dinner, her mind would be elsewhere, and when I asked about it, she'd brush it off. "Just work stuff," she'd say, and for the most part, I believed her. I trusted her. I didn't want to question her. I wanted to believe that what we had was real. But now, with that poem in my hand, the doubts couldn't be ignored anymore. They were glaring right in front of me. The room felt smaller, and I couldn't breathe. I needed to leave, to step outside, to get away from her, from everything that was unraveling between us. "I need a minute," I said, voice cracking, and I turned to leave the apartment. She reached out to stop me, but I pulled away before she could touch me. "Don't," I said, the pain raw in my chest. "Just give me a minute." I left, slamming the door behind me, and ran down the stairs, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and hurt. I had to get out. I needed air. My mind raced. How could I have been so blind? How could I not have seen it coming? She had been slipping away from me, and I was too busy looking at the surface, thinking everything was fine. I trusted her completely, but now that trust felt like it had been broken beyond repair. It wasn't until I stepped outside, the cool night air hitting my face, that I allowed myself to breathe. My chest ached. My heart felt like it had been crushed, and I had no idea what to do with it. My thoughts were tangled, and I kept replaying the same questions over and over again. Why had she done this? Why had she let things go this far? The worst part was that I didn't even know who to be angry at. Was it her for hiding the truth from me? For letting me think that everything was okay while she was falling for someone else? Or was it me, for being so blind, for not seeing the signs earlier? I pulled my phone out of my pocket, and I almost texted her. I thought about asking her what else she'd been hiding from me, but the truth was I didn't think I could handle hearing it. I didn't want to hear it. I wanted to throw my phone into the street and forget this entire nightmare. But I knew that wasn't an option. I had to face it. I had to confront her. I had to figure out where we stood, or if we stood at all anymore. I walked around the block, the cold air cutting through me, but it didn't help numb the ache in my chest. I felt sick, betrayed. But most of all, I felt lost. I had given her everything. I had trusted her with everything I had, and now I didn't even know if she was still here with me. Finally, after what felt like hours, I walked back to the apartment. I didn't know what I was going to say to her, but I knew I couldn't keep running. I had to face it head on. While I walked back inside, she was sitting on the couch, staring at her phone. I didn't know what to expect. Part of me was waiting for her to apologize, to explain herself in a way that would make sense. The other part of me wanted to throw that damn poem in her face and walk out for good. But I knew that wasn't going to solve anything. "Amy," I said, my voice steady but still trembling. "We need to talk." She nodded, her eyes red from crying, and she put the phone down, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. "I don't know where we go from here," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "But I need the truth, Amy. All of it. No more lies, no more pretending." She took a deep breath, and for the first time since I found the poem, I saw her eyes soften with guilt. "I never wanted to hurt you," she said, her voice cracking. "I never wanted to make you feel like this. But I've been so confused. And I don't know when it happened, but I started feeling things for him that I didn't know how to control." I closed my eyes, trying to hold it together. But the words she had just spoken felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Part 2. I took a deep breath, swallowing the lump in my throat. My hands were trembling again, and I didn't know if it was from anger or heartbreak. Probably a little bit of both. I wanted to scream, to shout at her for betraying me like this, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't find the words to make sense of everything that had just shattered between us. "I don't understand," I said, my voice barely audible, more to myself than to her. I ran a hand through my hair, pacing around the small living room. "How could you do this to me? I trusted you, Amy. I gave you everything." She was silent for a moment, eyes fixed on her lap, unable to meet my gaze. I could see the guilt on her face, and it only made the pain that much worse. I wanted answers, but I didn't know if they would make a difference anymore. I wasn't sure how much I wanted to know. "I didn't want to hurt you," she said again, her voice soft but shaking. "I swear to you I didn't. But I've been feeling lost." And I started talking to him more, and the more we talked, the more I realized I was feeling something more than I should. I didn't want to admit it to myself, and I didn't want to hurt you, so I kept pretending that everything was fine between us. I took another step back, leaning against the wall, my stomach turning. I wanted to shout at her, tell her that this was not fine, that none of this was fine, but I didn't. Instead, I just stared at her, feeling the weight of her words sink in. "I know it's not an excuse," she continued, her voice barely above a whisper now. "And I'm sorry. I never meant for things to go this far. I never meant for you to find out like this." Her words felt like they were falling on deaf ears. It wasn't that I didn't hear her. I heard every single word. But they didn't make me feel better. They didn't take away the hurt, the betrayal. I didn't know if anything could. I sat down on the couch, not wanting to stand anymore, as if I couldn't hold myself up. I felt so weak, so hollow, and I hated it. "How long, Amy?" I asked, my voice cracking. "How long has this been going on?" She swallowed hard, her eyes glistening with tears. "A couple of months," she said softly. "It started slowly, and I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to admit that I was feeling things for him that I shouldn't. But when we started talking more, it became harder to ignore. I didn't know how to stop it." The words hit me like a punch to the chest. I felt like I couldn't breathe, my heart aching with the weight of it all. A couple of months? How had I not noticed? How had I been so blind to everything happening right in front of me? I stood up abruptly, pacing again, this time with a burst of energy fueled by frustration. "And what about us, Amy?" I demanded. "What about what we've built? What about everything we've shared over the last 3 years?" She flinched at the question, as if it was too much for her to answer. She looked away, wiping her eyes, and I could see the conflict in her face. The guilt, the shame, but nothing else. "I still care about you," she said, almost pleading. "I do, but I don't know what to do anymore. I've been torn between the two of you for so long. And the truth is, I don't know if I can fix what's broken between us. I'm not sure I know how to get back to what we had." Her words hit me like a ton of bricks, and it felt like the air was sucked out of the room. I stumbled back to the couch, my knees suddenly weak beneath me. "You don't know if you can fix it?" I repeated, staring at her in disbelief. "What does that even mean, Amy?" You're telling me that everything we've had, everything I thought we had, doesn't matter anymore? I never wanted it to be like this, she said again, her voice breaking. I never wanted to hurt you, but I'm so confused. I don't know what I'm feeling anymore. I closed my eyes, trying to process what she was saying. I could feel the tears threatening to rise, but I held them back. I wasn't going to cry in front of her. I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction. I had to hold it together, even if every fiber of my being was screaming for release. I took a deep breath. So what now? I asked, barely able to form the words. What happens now, Amy? Do you leave me for him? Is that what you want? She didn't answer immediately, and when she did, it was in a soft voice I could barely hear. I don't know, she admitted. I don't know what I want, but I can't keep stringing you along while I figure it out. I don't want to hurt you more than I already have. Her words felt like daggers, each one cutting deeper than the last. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something, punch something, anything to stop the pain from settling in my chest. But I stayed quiet, letting her words wash over me. I couldn't do anything else. I stood up again, unable to sit still. Then I guess we're done, I said, the words coming out hollow, like I was watching someone else speak them. I could barely recognize my own voice. I can't keep doing this, Amy. I can't keep loving someone who isn't sure if they want to be with me. I deserve better than that. She looked at me with wide eyes, her face a mixture of guilt and sadness. I didn't want this, she whispered. I never wanted to lose you. I don't think you ever really saw me, Amy, I said, my voice colder than I meant it to be. If you did, you wouldn't have let it get this far. You wouldn't have let me find out like this. You wouldn't have let him into our lives. I turned away from her, unable to look at her any longer. I couldn't stand the sight of her anymore, not after what she had done. And I couldn't stand the silence, the emptiness that had filled the space between us. I needed to leave before I said something I would regret. I needed to be gone. I think it's best if I go, I said, turning to face her one last time. I need space. I need time to figure out what the hell just happened. She didn't say anything. She just nodded, her face crumpling as she fought back tears. But I didn't stay to comfort her. I didn't stay to hear her apologize again. I walked out of the apartment, closing the door softly behind me. And as I stepped into the hallway, I knew that things were never going to be the same again.